Hello and welcome to the episode 4 of What's Up with Startups. I'm Emina Skerf and my guest today is Polina Vasilenko. Hello, Polina.
Hi, Emin.
Hi, and welcome to the show. And Polina is the founder and CEO of HelioRec, a company that builds nearshore solar power plants. But I think that you're not only building like the floating solar power plants, you're also making the thing on which the solar panels are mounted, which it's called, I think, the floats, right? So
That's right.
yeah, so you're not only like a developer of a solar power plant, but you're also a manufacturer of the part of the solar power. Can you
That's
tell?
right.
Yeah. Can you tell us just as an introduction a little bit about that business and how you why did you decide to start this? What motivated you?
So let's start with the motivation. When I was a child, I wanted to be ecologist and do some useful things for the planet. But I was born in oil and gas family, so for me it was very naturally to be in oil and gas. So most of my life, I constructed oil and gas wells. So I pumped cement in Siberia, in far east of Russia, north part of Russia. And in 2016, I remembered my childhood dream to be ecologist. But in the same time, I'm an engineer. And I decided to change my career path and make a transition from oil and gas to renewables. And I went to study renewable energy to Germany in 2016. And I worked in Finland. I studied in Germany and in Portugal. My specialization is ocean energy. And in 2018, I came to France and started to develop my own idea of floating solar power plants for nearshore locations. So I noticed that solar and wind are most developed renewable energy technologies nowadays, and the future for these two mainstreams. But the wind turbines are not beautiful for many people, and the solar panels are more beautiful, but you need a lot of you need to have a lot of land space to install it. And as I am a diver and I work in offshore oil and gas, so I know how to build things on the water. And I invented and I made a patent of my floating system for nearshore floating solar power plants. And so I opened HelioRec in France in 2019. So 2 days ago, it was our 5 years anniversary. So we are still alive because, yeah, thank you. We are still alive. Typically, startups die after 3 years. So we are 5 years old, still alive, building projects, happy, and looking for scaling up our business.
Great. There was some tough environment you were brought up. I mean, being part of an oil and gas family. I mean, how did your parents took to your change in career?
Very bad. So my father still thinks that it is a kind of hobby, and I need to go back to Schlumberger and work in oil and gas because it's more prestigious and more money, obviously. And so for him, it was a bad move from Schlumberger, international oil and gas the service company, to do something which is kind of hobby. So.
Wow, that's an amazing story. And you also said about the wind turbines that being like not beautiful enough to perk your interests. Funny thing is that when I was working in the wind industry and when I was pitching the wind business to my board, I mean, the first thing I said, well, first of all, it's beautiful. So we should do this business because it's beautiful, and then everything else. So for you, it's the same, but it's beautiful and it's environmental, and then yeah, I would love to do that. Great. Well, that's a really great story. And you are 5 years old now, so you survived that long, and that's what really piqued my interest in your company. When I was looking at it, I was like, okay, you For 5 years, you're working in very tough and very competitive, one of the most competitive green tech industries. I mean, solar is an example of how prices have been falling down like rocks. I mean, I live in Turkey, and here just over 1 year, the prices were cut in half. You could buy a panel like for 40 cents a watt when I came, and now you can buy for 21 cents a watt. And that's Turkey, where the panels are expensive. In Europe, that's even much, much cheaper. So it's a really tough market to be in. So, but you're growing. I see that I checked, last time I checked, I think, completed 3 projects. I mean, the last one is in Port the Brest, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. So, can you tell me when was the time and what was the event when you realized, okay, I'm not a garage anymore. I'm not a laboratory type startup. I'm not testing anymore. I'm now building. When was that, and how did it dawn on you?
So when I started, I was alone in the company. So I'm the solo female founder of hardware startup. So it's even more difficult what you explained it a couple of seconds ago. And it was a COVID time. So I war in Ukraine. So everything was impacted very negatively on startup. So I would say when I started to feel that I am out of garage, as you said, basically when we raised our seed round, more than 1 million. So after that, I started to hire people. So now we are 9 people and develop more projects. So we have the technical team, we have a commercial team. I am doing supervising, operational team. So we are I'm alone doing everything. So we have a dedicated teams for every aspect of growing business. So I would say 1 year ago, I started to feel that it's growing. But of course, it goes to more problems because when you do your business alone, you know more or less how to do everything. And once you hire people, they do it in different way, and you need to understand if it is right or wrong. If they're making mistakes, you need to find out. You need to educate them, etc., etc. So more people, more problems, but you cannot grow without people. So now it was my task to adapt to a new model of building company, not alone, but this team of people. So, and I was lucky to hire very nice people. Some of them was from oil and gas as well. So with like 20 years of experience from Schlumberger. So it's very educated people, and now everything is become easy for me.
So if I understand you correctly, the most challenging thing was actually getting the team organized and getting them to do to follow your vision. But the vision is one thing, but actually step-by-step things which they need to do was the difficult part, right? And to make sure they do it the way you designed it, right?
Exactly.
Can you share any specifics? I mean, how did you manage that? Because I know that people go about that in different ways, and you have like a multicultural team, as I understand. So you have people from different countries speaking different languages and different backgrounds. So that's even more challenging. So how did you go about it? What did you do to them?
It was difficult. So at some point, I end up with a team of young men from Egypt, because the CTO was from Egypt, and it's came in the situation that was a lot of Egyptian men. So, and I end up in the situation, and I realized that diversity is like extremely important, because if we are similar people, we think similarly. So, and when I noticed this, it took some time to restructure myself. So I understand that I cannot manage it efficiently. So I hired a COO, like operational director, and he worked more than 20 years in Schlumberger. As a last job position was vice the president of Middle East region. and Europe, if I remember right. So, and actually he could organize those guys better. So I was not able to do, but having a right person who had this experience and doing operation, it helped. So
Wow.
it's again right people who can do job. Like I am doing good with strategy fundraising, so this is my job. I could not organize a team efficiently way. You need to find someone who can organize it.
And when you say team, you mean the team that was doing the manufacturing of the floater or the team that was doing the installation?
Team in HelioRec who do designing of the project, improving the product itself, the floaters, and so this was like internal team when I talked about team. If you talk about the manufacturing, we have very good the partnership with factories. So they use our equipment to manufacture our floating system. So the floating system consists of main floater, main body, where we install the solar panels. We have connectors between floaters and few other like screw nuts, that we also manufacture by ourselves. So find the right partners who manufacture for you. It was okay. So we have like long-term relationship already. And our internal team needs to communicate with the subcontractors, with this manufacturing partners.
Okay. So
And yeah.
in a sense, you're asset light. So you're not making this on your own. So you get the design and then you source it from the existing manufacturers so that your design basically accommodates the production equipment already available in other manufacturers, right?
So we have our own equipment molds. So it's a metallic structure where you put the plastic, you heat it up and rotate. After that, you open a metallic structure and you take the plastic floater. So this is a mold. It's our equipment. So we manufactured it. We give it to our subcontractor in France. So we do now manufacturing floaters in France, not far from Brittany. I mean, in Brittany region, not far from Rennes. And with our equipment, they manufacture our floaters.
Okay. Oh, wow. So interesting. That's an interesting model. I was discussing with another startup recently. It's a heat pump startup, and there was that fork where you had to decide, should you go for manufacture yourself this particular equipment, or you keep the design and then you outsource it to someone who can make it, maybe even better than you. In your case, you're also making the mold, so this is a kind of separate also thing, but it's not. But it allows you to. Am I right that this allows you to focus on the design and actually the installation, so the sales part of the business?
Yes, exactly. I think at the early stage startup, it's better to subcontract factories to manufacture the components of your system. Otherwise, you need to invest in heavy machines, rent workshops, and if you don't have a huge amount of orders, you will end up with equipment and no one wants to buy your product. So it can be a waste of time and money. So now we decided to do it with the partners, and later we can see if we would like to invest in heavy machine. But maybe it's Series B will be designed for these activities, but not now.
Okay, clear. Thank you. Can I shift gears here a little bit? You said that you realized that that you're out of the garage, so to say, when you got your seed round. So I would imagine that investors, when you try to convince them to finance your startup, would ask you, how is this scalable? That's, I think, one of the favorites of the investors. So how did you answer that question? How did you convince them that this is scalable? Because in one sense, solar is already scaled, yeah. But in the other sense, you have a quite niche market, but which can be scaled. But I don't don't want to come up with my own reasons for that. But I'm interested in how you convince them that this is a scalable market and your business could be scaled efficiently.
Yeah, it's just numbers. In our case, we are focusing on the ports or shipyard. In Europe, we have 3,000 ports, and all of them would like to be carbon net zero by 2030, by 2040. And when you speak with them, so I had interviews with more than 150 ports. So they realize that rooftop, the solar is not enough to cover all their needs. Wind turbines is difficult to build, especially if it is city ports. The citizens don't want to see wind turbines. This is why in the beginning I said it's not beautiful. For me, they're also beautiful. And if ports have unused water space, so we can occupy it with our floaters with panels, and we generate a clean energy. So this is in terms of market penetration. So of course it's kind of niche, because floating solar in general started to be developed like 10 years ago for lakes mainly. But now you can see more and more trend to nearshore and offshore. So it is niche now, but in a couple of years it will be nearshore, it will be normal, and in 5 years it will be offshore, it will be normal. So this is in terms of market. In our case, we have like 11 letter of intents from different ports who would like to build the projects. So in terms of scalability from a manufacturing point of view, so in our case, now we have molds to manufacture 1.2 megawatt a year. So it's not very big, but to duplicate it, we just need to add extra molds. So extra set of molds, which will manufacture 2 megawatt, 10 megawatt. So, and later we can see if we can shift it from rotor molding to injection molding. So it can be different ways how you do scaling from manufacturing point of view.
Okay, so let me just stop here on one thing you said. You said you spoke to 150 ports. And you did that before going to investors. You actually like called them up or just went to ports and talked to them, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of the. How long did it take you?
I still continuously speaking with the customers every
That's
day.
for sure.
So,
That's for sure. But I mean, before, I mean, the moment when you came to the investor, okay, look, guys, here's my like phone book of the port captains and their operation officers, and I spoke to each of them, and this is the statistics what they say. I want to emphasize this because it's one thing that sometimes it's difficult for the startup, because you have that idea and you have a prototype, but actually making like 100, 200, 300 calls to potential customers to discuss with them the possibility.
yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, I go to exhibitions and I meet, I don't know, 20 ports on this exhibition. So over 2 years, of course, I could speak with 150 people and get feedback, what they want to do, what is their pain, which we can help to solve. So yes, it's you just need to be visible, go to conferences, speak with people, and you will find your answers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's an important point to note. Not often I hear that. Actually, for people doing that kind of prep, market research, not just taking, off the shelf report or having like substituting a few conversations they have with potential clients. So yeah, I think that this is important, and I think it would be good. Like I would put it in the show notes. Say, okay, yeah, that's focus on that one. Things which you can like do regularly, which are not glamorous, but you get that. I know from my experience when I kind of tried to convince my investors that, okay, let's go for this particular wind turbine technology. because I spoke to 40 other wind turbine manufacturers who would care to speak to me, and component manufacturers, and now I understand how that works. So you were also a part of the Techstars Sustainability Accelerator in Paris, right? And I think that was quite recently that you were part of that.
Like 1.5 years ago.
Yeah. So that's about the time when you sort of started to grow. How helpful was that accelerator program for your growth? What do you think?
So first of all, it is network, very nice mentors and ecosystem in France. Second is they are investors, so they invested in our seed round and the pre-seed round. So as they invested in seed, our lead investor who leads the round with biggest amount of investment. So they invested because they know that Techstars is very famous and top 3 accelerator. So they did huge due diligence and they trust in me and they believe in me. So it helped also for lead investor to together with Techstars invest in our seed. So this is two main benefits for HelioRec.
Okay. And what is I think you completed that program, so you're now kind of an alumni of this, so you're out of this, but so they helped you in that part. But what is your next challenge in growing? What do you see as the next challenge?
Yeah, it's start to scale with bigger projects. So we installed the 7 kilowatt, 10 kilowatt, 25 kilowatt. So and now we are building a couple of more projects. So I want to go from kilowatt level to megawatt level. So this is the biggest challenge in terms of find the customers who will pay for this. So because sometimes I notice that ports would like to go with grants from Europe. So they're not like really customers. They like trying to find free money. And for manufacturing also, like as I said, now we can have floaters for 1.2 megawatt. So if you go to megawatt scale for few projects, the manufacturing capabilities needs to be bigger. So this is yeah. And again, like if you talk about scaling, you need more people to do more job. So from 9 people, we have to go to like 25 people. So and it will be no new challenges with hiring, firing, educate, etc., etc.
If we, there are a few points I want to stop here, just to elaborate upon. Start from the last one. Start from the people question. So, who is doing the hiring?
Me and COO now, before CTO.
Do you have any kind of specific algorithm, like a checklist, or I don't know, a specific program, which so we source like 20 people for this position, then we narrow them down, so then we check them so and so, and if they match, then then we take 2 or 3 candidates, we pick one. What approach do you use? Or is it more like ad hoc? Okay, yeah, I know the guy who, we work him today, let's get him.
No, it's mainly it was from LinkedIn. So I make a post for job position. A few people applied. First, we do a 15 minutes brief call. Just don't waste time on learning about the person, which is not maybe suitable for you. So 15 minutes call, understand if it's this is like adequate people or not. So if yes, you go to the technical interview 1 hour. If it's okay, we go to another like a final interview with me. So I try to understand if the person is really suitable for our mission of the company. They really like driven from internal feelings to do useful things for the planet, or what is his motivation to be in the company, how he can do work, etc. And after that, yes, we make offer. If it's okay for person, we negotiate and we make a contract start. In France, you have 1 month to understand if you would like to continue. So if you did not understand during 1 month, you end up with person. So and it will be more difficult to fire people. So we need to be very careful in the beginning with the person.
Okay, that's interesting. It's only 1 month. It's a really short time. So how long usually takes you to hire a person through this kind of algorithm?
From beginning till end, with our COO, it was very quick. So we just had a kind of match. We are from the same industry in the past, same vision, kind of what we would like to do in our lives. It was, I don't know, like 1 week. So we agreed
But
on.
that was the COO. But I mean, I'm talking about more people who are coming, who interviewed by your COO. Months?
So overall, yes, maybe 1 month for whole process. For commercial director, it was 2 weeks.
Why so fast? You had very good recommendation?
No, he applied on LinkedIn. So I spoke with him, CEO spoke with him, and we agreed on some conditions, and it was fine. You think it's like you have much, you go with this, everyone happy. If you don't have much, so usually you don't waste time because it will not work. So.
Okay. Do you have any kind of onboarding process for the team, for the new team members?
Yes, we have employee handbook. We have the presentations, what we need to show about technology, about the market, about how we work in general. We have monday.com to workspace management. On Google, we do like documents, folders, so we explain organizational things. Yes, so we have internal policies because our people work remotely. So we meet each other like 3 or 4 times a week, and other days remotely. So we explain how we work. Yeah.
Is your team still predominantly Egyptian, or is more diverse now?
Now diverse. I fired 2 people, so
Okay.
now I try to balance with other nations. Yes.
Okay, but I had the time I was managing teams which were like Russian Dutch or Russian Korean, for that matter. So I think that there are challenges when you try to manage teams who are culturally different. And I know that even people from like south of France and north of France could be culturally different. And how do you manage that? How do you manage the cultural differences?
No, I try to be flexible with people, so I understand they think differently. I try to understand their point of view, if it's good, if it works. So I try to change myself and take some lesson learned from others. If something like bad, they're doing some not correct things, I try to correct and explain why we need to do differently. So, but yeah, of course, we need to be flexible, take into account like background of people, the culture. It's and be flexible to each other, of course.
Okay, great. Thanks. Coming to now to more to the external part, to the sales part. You said that the port owners or port captains, they reluctant to pay for that, so they're looking for like external funds. Is that the main difficulty you have in making a sale here, or are there any other kind of obstacles which you usually encounter and you have to overcome them in sale of your product, your service?
I think mainly it's people want to do business as usual. Everyone talks about global warming, but they don't want to do anything extra. So, and to change it from business as usual to innovation and green tech, it's difficult. So some people more like willing to take this extra work and to contribute to better planet, but a lot of people, they just okay, call us back and in 1 year, so now we are busy with something else. So
Why
this
do you
is the
think?
biggest obstacle.
Why do you think is
Because yeah, because the people are lazy. So if you don't need to do some extra work, don't do this.
that's true. That's true. And but also, for example, I encountered from other startups as well. So the usual thing that even say you contact a CEO or an owner, and the CEO knows, oh, this is a great idea, let's do that. And he sees like a benefit in it, even if it's for PR. Okay, he just wants to show he's up, he's in line with the agenda, and he can talk to in some gatherings about it. But then you actually have to do business with his COO, for example. And then it becomes difficult. And they usually put forward problems like, or, but then, I don't know how it will put fixed in, compare with, be compatible with my production process or service process. Maybe there will be some difficulties. Maybe there will be power outages in your case, or maybe some, I don't know, some ship will just, run into it. So they find all kind of things which you say, okay, it's just, just additional risk for me. No benefit, but additional risk. Do you run into this kind of arguments?
Yeah, all the time. I mean, not all the time, but makes sense. So you build the power plant, and yes, ship can hit it. Actually, now stand port, our installation, it was in the water for 2 years now. So at some point, ship. So it, of course, it's more risks, and it can be fire, because the solar panels sometimes they can get on fire. So of course, it's extra risks for ports to have such a installation. But if you build something with all possible risk reduction and explain things, you need to educate if something will happen, we have a plan how to minimize it and how to like, I don't know, remove it from water if it will be broken or whatever. So we need to speak, we need to educate. But yes, you're right. It's no one wants to take extra risk. Otherwise, it should be like super innovative people, a lot of like energy, and they would like to do new things and to have the PR around this, the clean energy for ports. So we need to find this drivers of innovation in the port, because the ports is also like very traditional old style industry, which is they doing business, the main activities, the cargo operation. So they're not really focusing on clean energy. So they're focusing on other activities. So we need to find some like very active people who would like to try new things.
But here it's also important to find the people who are willing to try, even if that doesn't bring them any particular benefit. And so it's a hard sell, I can say.
We just need to find right people. It's again everything around people. You do for people, you doing with people. So you need to find right people from the customers as well.
Yeah, that's why you need to meet this 150 ports, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. And because we have like about 10 minutes. Can I ask you, if you go back to the moment that you raised your seed round, when you started, to actually actively hire people, can you name one thing that you would have done differently if you could go back? What would you change in your strategy, maybe in your tactics, in your approach?
You mean specifically for the fundraising?
Not for fundraising, maybe for your operations, for your business development, for your manufacturing, for fundraising, for something which you think, okay, now with the benefit of hindsight, I should have done that. Or I could, if I could bet, I would just do a little bit like, I don't know, call more ports or went to more investors or even didn't do mold, outsourced it to someone else? Or what would you've done differently?
Yeah, I think I would not hire so many the same people. So diversity in the team, I really feel it was wrong decision to have very similar people. This is what I would not do this anymore. This was the biggest lesson learned from the previous year. I spoke with 200 investors, so to raise seed. So I cannot do it differently. So it's
That's
you
okay.
again use yes. Um, no, I guess this was the main uh, lesson learned. We need to have diverse team with different views. We can help each other in the way that I know this, you know this. All together, we're doing better. Yeah. So diversity in the team is a key of success.
Yeah, that would have, as I understand that, if you would done that from the outright, you would just be faster, right? Which is important.
Yeah, and maybe better. Again,
Yeah.
it's the technology could be better. We maybe could build more power plants. Again, it's the sales all in our case go together with manufacturing, so everything could be quicker.
What is
Yeah.
actually, I had that now you mention it. What is the most difficult part you find? The sales or actually the manufacturing? Which one is which one has to catch up with the other?
I think they should go in the parallel
They should,
because
but do they?
it should. In our case, kind of, yes. So
Oh,
what we have, the customers for this amount of kilowatt, we will be able to manufacture this. So, but so this is in the beginning we discussed about scaling. So once we find the project 5 megawatt, I'll be able to quick manufacture this amount of floaters and source all parts, insurance, all of this. So it will be a completely different story. So hopefully we will overcome these difficulties. Now for us, it go to the parallel, but let's see on the scaling part. So we are ready for we know about this, so we take actions now. And hopefully it will minimize risks and difficulties in the future.
oh, great. So you're laying groundwork for when you actually get that megawatt project. And
Yeah.
I saw on your website that you have there was an expression of interest from a Dutch company to actually explore with you an offshore floating solar power plant, which would go outside, I think. Don't remember the name, but maybe. There was in the news section, I think.
Not because we only have the contract with Vanort.
Maybe it's not
Dutch
the
company.
contract, but anyway, the point I'm trying to make is not particular that project, but do you see the future? Where's the future if you take 10 years from now, 2030, like that's what most of the energy transition people put 2030 for some reason as a date where you have to check things. 2030, are you still in the near-shore locations, or are you start to move in offshore locations?
For us, I guess nearshore location is quite a big market, so I would like to stay here because when you go to offshore, it should be metallic structure, and if you build something with a huge area, metallic structure in the middle of nowhere, the cost will be very high. So operation and maintenance go by boat to check what happened with panels.
Even more than offshore wind farms, they are hugely expensive.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess for offshore solar, it will be more expensive in terms of kilowatt hour compared with the wind turbine because the area what you need to cover it's huge. So for the wind turbine, so you have a wind turbine, so everything is here, but you put solar panels as a huge area to generate like 1 megawatt. You need to take 10,000 square meters. So it's a huge area, metal in the corrosion, wind, waves. So I think of course, it will be some installations done, especially in the Netherlands. So because they invest a lot of in offshore solar, because then no land. So and it's a few companies working on building a megawatt project in North Sea, but like around the globe, I don't think it's a good idea, but very expensive idea.
Okay. All right, great. So that will be near shore, where, as you say, the half of the world population lives.
Exactly.
Okay. And just one final question. What would you recommend from your experience to the green tech startup who are just starting to grow? What should they watch out for?
It depends on what startup it is. So
Speaking about hardware startup, even in like a renewable energy startup or startup working.
yeah, don't start alone. So I mean, in my case, I was alone. It was very difficult. So ideally, if it will be CEO, CTO. So CTO is who is hopefully has the practical knowledge, who already built something with hands, and the CEO who is like very active and can sell. So this is the best combination for the team in the beginning. So once you develop idea, go to speak with the customers immediately, because whatever you imagine, it's a great idea, but customers maybe think differently. So, and most of the cases they think differently. So don't waste time on developing unneeded product. And third one is start to fundraising from day one, because it takes, I don't know, from half year to 1 year to raise round, and you need to build relationship with investors. So as quickly you start to understand how investors think, is better. Because in my case, I thought, oh, I want to save the world. Everyone would like to help me. Money is not a problem. But no, like if you want to save the world, it doesn't mean that your business should not be the profitable. So you need to show everything: technology, clients, team. So it's so this is 3 things I would recommend to anyone would like to start startup or already like early stage startup.
Great. But thank you very much. Thank you much, Polina, for this insights. I think it was very tactical conversation, I would say. And I love tactical conversation because a lot of time people just they speak about the big things, but it's the small things that move things forward. So thank you very much for that insight. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me for this talk. And good luck and all the best to your startup and to you. And I hope that in 2030 and 2050, you will be doing fine, much better than that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much, Emin. Thank you.